Alright, so having talked about sequences and their convergence and their properties, the lim sup, the lim-in, subsequences, subsequential limits, and so on, now we are going to start talking about series. Alright, so I'm sure most of you have already encountered series before, but nonetheless, we are going to formally define what a series is now. Okay, so let's start with the definition. So, given a sequence xn, we're going to define the running sums of that sequence as follows. Sn is going to be the sum from 1 through n of xi. Okay, and with this I will say the series so this is how a series is denoted. Summation 1 to infinity xn, where to define the series you need a sequence of summands, which is exactly what the sequence xn was. Alright, so we will say this series converges to a limit s if Sn tends to S. In this case we write it like this. Okay, so what the series is, this abstract object which somehow corresponds to basically doing a summation across the elements of this sequence xn. Now, how do you do a summation across an infinite collection of elements? Well, you can't. What you instead do is look at the finite sums Sn, and then you take and you investigate whether that sequence of finite sums has a limit as n goes to infinity, right? If that sequence of partial sums Sn converges to S, we say that the series, which we denote by summation 1 to infinity xn here, this we say in that case that the series converges, and we write the S is the limit of this series, and we express this in this manner. That is, we write summation 1 to infinity xn is equal to S. What this means is, of course, that Sn converges to S. And again, convergence is reserved for scenarios where the limit under consideration is real valued. Okay. Similarly, suppose that Sn tends to plus or minus infinity. In this case, we don't use the word convergence. The series in this case diverges, but we still write summation 1 to infinity xn is equal to plus or minus infinity, as the case might be, right? Finally, I note that if the sequence of partial sums, the running sums, if you will, of your original summand sequence diverges, in other words, does not converge, we say that the corresponding series diverges. Alright, so that's the definition. So a series is basically, well, this abstract object is what we call a series. Now, how do I interpret this object? I interpret this object in some sense as the limit of the running sums, the limit of the sum of the first n elements as n goes to infinity. If this sequence of running sums converges, I say that the series converges, right? In which case I write the kind of, I express that fact in this manner. On the other hand, if that sequence of running sums goes to plus infinity or minus infinity, the series diverges, but nonetheless these are special divergent sequences. I still write summation 1 to xn as either plus infinity or minus infinity, whatever the limit of the running sums was. And finally, in general, if the sequence of running sums Sn is to diverge, we say that the corresponding series diverges. Okay, so this is how one formally defines a series and formally talks about what it means for a series to have a limit, what it means for a series to converge. Okay, one more definition. If summation mod xn converges, we say the series is absolutely convergent. Okay, we'll come back to this definition later, but at this point it's just a definition. There'll be, I mean, the reason why we call such a series absolutely convergent will become clear, but at this point just take it as a definition. If summation 1 to n mod xn converges, we say that the series, original series 1 to infinity xn is absolutely convergent. Okay, now one thing I would like to note, that if you look at this object 1 to infinity mod xn, well, when you're looking at the running sums here, you're adding non-negative entries at each point, right? So the sequence of running sums for this fellow is going to be a monotone increasing sequence, right? So this definitely is either some non-negative real number, or it is plus infinity, right? And when will it converge? It converges if the limit of the sequence of running sums is in fact real valued, right? The limit of this always exists. The limit of summation 1 to infinity mod xn always exists. So when I say if summation 1 to infinity mod xn converges, I'm referring specifically to the case where the limit is real valued, right? If that's the case, then I say that the original series summation 1 to infinity xn is absolutely convergent, and we will see why this definition is relevant in just a minute. Okay, so now having defined series, let's go through a few quick examples. Okay, the first example is that P is, let us say, between 0 and 1, and I'm looking at the series summation 1 to infinity P raised to n, right? Everybody has seen this before. In fact, this is the geometric series, right? So we already know that in fact in this particular instance the series converges and the limit is in fact equal to p divided by 1 minus p. Okay, and why is this? Well, you just look at the sequence of running sums. The sequence of running sums is going, Sn is going to be, well, p plus p square plus, well, all the way up to p raised to n, which again we all know is equal to p times 1 minus p raised to n upon 1 minus p, right? So this is your Sn, which of course we all understand as n goes to infinity converges to p upon 1 minus p, right? Similarly, in fact, an analogous argument will tell you that for p greater than 1, or greater than equal to 1, summation p raised to n diverges, right? Because again you can write out it's a GP after all, so you can write out p equals 1 is a special case, in which case it's just Sn is just equal to n. If p greater than 1, this is now an increasing GP. Again you can write out the running sum precisely in this case in closed form and show that in that case that sequence of running sums tends to plus infinity as n goes to infinity, right? So that is why the series diverges. Fine. So these are a couple of quick examples. We will now look at conditions necessary and sufficient for a series to converge. Okay, our first result in this direction is the following. Summation. So I will not always write the indices, the limits of this from 1 to infinity if it's obvious that that's what is happening, right? So this series converges if and only if for all epsilon greater than 0 there exists some n naught such that sorry, I've now started using x, I should say a. Okay, so let us stare and interpret this theorem. So we are saying that a series, which is in this case denoted by 1 to infinity summation an, this series converges if and only if for whatever positive epsilon you choose, I can give you, some threshold n naught. There exists some threshold n naught such that if you look at the sum of the terms from n. Oh, I've written this wrong, haven't I? Okay, so since I've written m here, I should say m greater than equal to n. Yeah, sorry, I messed this up. Yeah. If and only if for every positive epsilon there exists an n naught such that if you look at the sum from m to n of the entries in the summation, that should be less than epsilon in absolute value for all m and n greater than n naught. Right? What does this really mean? What this means is that for whatever epsilon you choose, there should be a threshold n naught such that if you basically add up the entries of the summands, right, the summand series, which is an in this case, if you add them up from any point to any other point, right, you choose any lower endpoint n, any upper endpoint m, both of which are to the right of n naught, then the summation of the entries of the sequence an between those two entries should be smaller than epsilon in absolute value. Okay, this is a necessary and sufficient condition for the series 1 to infinity an to converge. Okay, how would one prove this? The proof is actually remarkably trivial, right? So the proof, in fact, we won't even write the proof. The proof in this case follows trivially by applying the Cauchy criteria. You apply the Cauchy criteria for the sequence of running sums, which is 1 to n ak, right? Because after all, the convergence of the series is tied to the convergence of the sequence of running sums. So if I apply the Cauchy criteria to these running sums, that will tell you essentially this is the difference between two running sums, right? After all, so an elementary application of the Cauchy criteria, since we know that convergence of Sn is equivalent to Sn being Cauchy, the statement of the theorem actually follows. Okay, so this is fairly straightforward, although this is important and we will actually use this repeatedly going forward. Let me now tell you an immediate consequence of this. If a series converges yeah, so you have to define a series, of course you have to define a sequence of summands, which is an, right? So if a series converges, then we are claiming that an, the sequence of summands itself, must converge to 0, right? So basically the sequence of summands that defines the series has to converge to 0 if the series converges. Okay, why is this? Again, it's a trivial consequence of the previous theorem. Put m equals n in previous theorem. If you put m equals n in the previous theorem, you will see that for any epsilon greater than 0, there exists an n naught such that a n in absolute value is less than epsilon for all n greater than n naught, which is essentially the same as saying that the sequence a n tends to 0, right? In the example that we saw before as well, when p is between 0 and 1 and you're looking at the series summation p raised to n, it's clear that p raised to n itself tends to 0 as n goes to infinity. Okay. However, one thing I should note is that the converse of this statement is not true. Right? So while an tending to 0 is a necessary condition for the series to converge, for the series summation 1 to infinity an to converge, it is by no means a sufficient condition. So in particular, this is something that we will show. That something like summation 1 by n diverges. Even though 1 by n tends to infinity, 1 by n tends to 0, summation 1 by n, 1 through infinity, that series in fact diverges. So in spite of the fact that in this particular case an is 1 by n, even though an tends to 0, the series summation an in fact diverges. And this is not something that is apparent yet. We will prove this. Right? Although many of you would have already encountered this fact before, that something like summation yn diverges. Okay, so right, so this is also something that we have done. So now let me quickly recap what it is that we have said. You have a series. A series is of the form like this, summation 1 through infinity an. We talked about what it means. How do you interpret this object? This object is interpreted in terms of the limit of the running sums, summation 1 to n of ak. Okay, if that sequence of running sums converges, we say the series converges. If that sequence of running sums tends to infinity, we say the series tends to infinity. If the sequence of running sums diverges, we say the series diverges. All we have done so far is applied the Cauchy criteria. The Cauchy criteria, when applied to the series, tells you that the series converges if and only if you look at the limited running, so for any epsilon greater than 0, there exists a threshold n naught such that to the right of n naught, if you take any limited running sum, right, you start from any point to the right of n naught and end at any further point to the right of n naught, any n to the right of n naught and any m beyond that, the sum of all of those entries in absolute value is going to be less than epsilon. Okay, this is an elementary application of the Cauchy criteria to the sequence of running sums. And an elementary consequence of this is that if a series converges, then the sequence of summands involved in the series must tend to 0. And finally, I pointed out that the converse of this statement is not true. Right? I haven't justified this. This is something that we will actually prove going forward. All right. So next, we are going to give another set of conditions for convergence or divergence of series, and this is what is called the comparison test. Okay, so here is the result. Okay, so the first part of this comparison test basically gives us a sufficient condition for a series to converge, right? So the series under consideration is summation 1 through infinity xn. Okay, I want to give you a sufficient condition for the series to converge. One way of doing that is, suppose you could say that in absolute value xn is less than or equal to yn, right? At least for large enough n. So in other words, for all n greater than n naught, where n naught is some natural number. If this is true, and if the series summation yn converges, then in fact the series summation xn also converges, right? So if you come up with an upper bound to the in absolute value of the summents, and if that upper bound series converges, well, then your original series also converges. That's what the comparison test for convergence tells you. You can also write a corresponding statement for divergence. If xn is greater than or equal to yn, which in turn is greater than or equal to 0, and again, I don't need this to hold for all n. For all n greater than n naught, which is some natural number, if summation yn diverges, then summation xn also diverges. Right? So if you're dealing with non-negative summits, if you can come up with a lower bound on the summits such that that series diverges, then the original series also diverges. Now remember, when you're adding non-negative summits, your partial sums are all going to be monotonically increasing, right? So which means they have a limit. So divergence corresponds to the setting where the limit is infinity, and convergence corresponds to the setting where the limit is real valued, right? So so when I say, in this particular instance, when I say that summation yn diverges, what I'm really saying is that summation yn is equal to infinity. Okay, so those are the two statements of the comparison test. The second part is actually fairly straightforward, so I'm going to leave this as an exercise to you. The first part I will actually prove. So this is again, in fact, going to be a consequence of the Cauchy property, right? So let me, because I changed the page, let me just quickly recap what the statement is. So we have xn in absolute value less than or equal to yn for all n greater than or equal to some n naught in n. Again, whether I wrote greater than or greater than equal to in the previous page doesn't really matter, right? These two are exactly the same. Now we are trying to say that summation yn converges implies summation xn converges, right? This is what we are trying to prove here. Okay, so this is the proof of the first part of the theorem. Given epsilon greater than 0, right, there exists an n such that for m greater than equal to n greater than capital N, in fact, summation yk, I should say, right? This was the previous, the Cauchy criteria for the convergence of series, right? Because summation yn converges for any epsilon, there is some large enough capital N such that if I take m and n to be larger than n, then summation from n to m of yn should be less than epsilon. Why am I not bothering to put an absolute value around this? Well, because all the yns are, in this case, non-negative, right? Remember, yns are upper bounds on mod xn, so they are non-negative for free. So I don't need to put the absolute value. So this follows directly from the Cauchy criteria. All right. Now you can further say that for m greater than equal to n greater than max of n naught and n. What is n naught here? This n naught is basically the threshold beyond which the upper bounding holds, right? In absolute value, xn is less than equal to yn, right? So for all m and n larger than the max of this n, right, which is part of the Cauchy criteria of yn, and n naught, which is the threshold for, you know, the comparison to hold in the first place, the following is true. If you now look at summation n to m x k by triangle inequality, this is less than equal to summation n to m mod xk, which is of course by the comparison test less than equal to summation n to m yk, which is less than epsilon, right? Which now by Cauchy criteria tells me that summation xn converges. Also by Cauchy criteria. Okay, So that's it. That's all there is to prove the comparison test. But once again, the important thing is to remember this statement, because this is actually something that we are going to use repeatedly in our coverage of series. That whenever you want to prove, one of the ways of proving that a certain series summation xn converges. Now again, you can notice that from now on I'm not always, when I say a series converges, I'm not always going to write the indices here. I'm not always going to write 1 to infinity. If that's implicit, I'm going to let it be. Okay. So one of the ways in which you can show that a series converges is if you can, in absolute value, upper bound the summands by something whose summation converges, right? In this case, that upper bound sequence is yn. If you can show summation yn converges, that implies that summation xn converges, right? This was the first part of the result. The second part of the result was where xn is non-negative and you bounded it below by something whose summation diverges. In this case, xn also diverges. So that is a statement I'm actually going to leave as an exercise to you. It's actually fairly straightforward. Just a trivial application of the definition of the sequence tending to infinity. All right. So that completes the proof. To conclude, let me give you one. So remember, we had talked about absolutely convergent sequences. Absolutely convergent series. I'm now going to tell you, give you a quick interpretation of that in light of this comparison test thing. So recall that if summation mod xn converges, we say summation xn is absolutely convergent. I'm just recalling the definition. Now apply your comparison test. By the comparison test, suppose I take yn to be absolute value of xn. By comparison test, summation mod xn converges implies that summation xn converges, right? So the moral of the story then is that absolutely convergent series are convergent. Okay, that kind of gives you reason for why these series are called absolutely convergent in the first place, right? I mean, when you write it the first time, it may not be obvious why you would give it such a name. But in light of the comparison test, it's quite kind of clear that absolutely convergent series are in fact convergent, right? So it kind of that name actually makes sense. Okay, so we have basically shown that a trivial application of the comparison test implies that any series that is absolutely convergent is also convergent, right? Again, the converse is not true. You can in fact have examples of series which are convergent but are not absolutely convergent, right? So again, I'm just going to state the example here. A formal justification will follow from the results that we are yet to derive, right? So it turns out that if you look at something like minus 1 raised to n 1 by n, this series is convergent. But for absolute convergence, you would be looking at summation 1 by n, which we have already said does not converge, but not absolutely convergent. All right. So again, at this point, I'm just throwing the example at you. I haven't proved either of the two claims, that summation 1 by n is divergent, nor have I proved that minus 1 by summation minus 1 by minus 1 raised to n 1 by n is convergent. Both of these facts will be proved later. At this point, I'm just stating the fact that while absolute convergence implies convergence, the opposite is not true. You can come up with examples of convergent sequences which are in fact not absolutely convergent. So absolute convergence is a sufficient condition for convergence, not a necessary condition. All right, so these are essentially, so what we have done is basically defined the definition of a series. What does it mean for a series to have a limit? What does it mean for a series to converge? We applied the Cauchy criteria, looked at some consequences of that. We defined we stated the comparison test and came up with a couple of consequences of that. Okay, so we will look at more conditions for convergence of a series in the videos to come.